Hello.
Hi, how you doing, Yim?
Good.
Uh,
Did you have a chance to talk to Mike last night?
not really. Uh I think he went to go play with Alex, and so we talked a little bit about it, but not a lot. But he said he was pretty happy with how he got it done, so that's
Okay.
good. Yeah. Uh, Interesting. Okay. Can we make this small? All right. Neat. What does it do? Let me.
Can Courtney join today?
She said she was excited to see what everyone was seeing, so I'm assuming so. Uh, yeah. Uh, and I haven't heard from Mike today.
Oh, I have dentist appointment tomorrow, so I cannot be at 1 p.m.
Okay, got it. Uh, mm, there he is.
Here I am. Sorry. The
Uh,
raccoons messed up my backyard.
the what?
The raccoons messed up my backyard last night.
Oh,
I
sorry,
got
man.
yeah, no, it's not like anything crazy. It's just holes were everywhere. Stuff was all disheveled. The cats were all upset. I had to clean up a little bit. Sorry it took me too long.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and. Oh, hold on. She's replying right now. Okay. She's gonna be here in 10 minutes, so we'll go ahead and get started. So I just kind of want to recap what we've done in the first week. So we talked about the von Neumann architecture, source code. We talked about how programs exist in memory. We talked about the broad overview of subjects in computer science and really how we're just focusing on one little piece of it. And we talked a little bit about web versus desktop user interface, and we've been doing what's called command line user interface. Um, then in lesson two, we started looking at C sharp and looking at data structures such as classes and various data types such as strings and integers, decimal, boolean. We also talked about the single responsibility principle, and which is one of the cornerstones for object-oriented programming. Then the next day, we talked about Boolean logic, your if, else statements, loops, and we introduced a random number generator so we could have a little bit of fun with our projects. Then Thursday, we did breakpoints. We talked about logging. We talked about Trello and cards and how to, different techniques for having an agile development process. And then we haven't gone over peer review. That's kind of what we're going to do today. Um, I had been thinking about having you guys open up Git and start storing your stuff in Git. We might tease that in the beginning of tomorrow. Um, and we did homework number one. This is before we kind of adjusted a little bit. So instead of D&D, we just let everybody do their own projects. So let's go ahead and take a look at your guys' projects together. And if you're comfortable, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about it. But if you just want me to talk, that's fine too. Um, Mike or Yim, do either of you, one of you, want to go first? Otherwise, I can randomly pick.
I'll
I
go
don't.
first. I don't. It doesn't bother me. I think everybody kind of really. I mean, I think you use me as like the main thing anyway, so I think it's pretty transparent
Big.
what I'm doing.
Okay. All right. So here's your screen. How would you like to? Do you want us to just run it, or do you want to talk through it first?
No, let's go ahead and let's run it because it'll probably be
Sure.
easier.
Okay. Let's
So
enter my character's name. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
so basically, what I'm trying to do is recreate, uh, creating a character in Dungeons and Dragons. Essentially, the character sheet, the character creation. Ultimately, I want to get up to the point where I can have some sort of interaction with like a fight or like a very basic confrontation uh,
Okay.
in melee or with spell. Probably with melee because that's my uh, usual go to in D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Spells are John's specialty, so
Yeah.
I leave that to you. So that's basically what I'm trying to do. My focus on this was to get the stats, the random number generator to work for the stats. That was my goal for this particular section. My next is going to be like more doing the class stuff, right? So like hit points, choosing an actual class, having
Mm-hmm.
hit points, and then maybe proficiency bonus. I don't know exactly how hard it is to do these things, so I'll have to gauge how hard. Can I get to attack roll? Can I get to putting in equipment? Like, can we do skills? How hard? Skills is going to be probably its own thing, right? Because there's 18, 20
That makes
skills.
sense. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. And then also I have to put in like the bonuses for the different stats and whatnot. So yeah, that's kind of basically in a nutshell what I'm trying to do and what I try to accomplish here on this first homework.
Okay. Nice. So what I want you to do now is guide me where to click so I can show everyone. But show us the two classes that store data, the third class that manages user input, your loop, and your if else. Okay.
So okay,
And I can't see it all on one screen, so I'm gonna have to kind of like bring it back over if you need me to remind you again.
no, yeah, yeah. I will. So here, my classes are obviously I have a character. Wait, why is it not?
So show us your character class.
Yeah. So I have two separate uh constructors. One for a static value in case I need to create a random character, and then I have one where I can, change the um particular stat that I want or add to depending on how I want to approach it. Because with the game, there's different ways of handling it, and if I want to be able to create a character fast, I wanted to have set values. So that's why I did this kind of this way.
You actually have three
So,
constructors. There's a
oh, I'm
third
sorry,
one.
I do.
Yeah.
This one I'm not super familiar with, so I can't really speak on it.
Uh, this is this is the third one. So these three are your constructors right here,
Oh, I didn't realize this was a constructor. My bad.
and that's the one that you're actually using. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
But
I'm not
those
setting
other ones
anything. I'm
are
using.
like stuff out for future things. Yeah.
Yeah, this is for future things. Uh, uh, my dice roller has my if else.
Okay.
The game core. I think this is basically what drives everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I used the program. I'm creating a monster. Again, I have static numbers here, but I'll probably add the array just in case I want to modify monsters in the future. And then I think I have player character, but I don't think this is just
It's a
blank.
thought right now. Haven't figured it out.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't really. I don't know where this is gonna fit, and I might roll character into player character. I might change
Yep.
this to NPC, but that's That's where I'm at. What
Yeah.
did I miss? I missed something. There's the third
You
thing
got
I missed.
your two classes. So you got your character, and I would say your monster are your two classes. Uh, then the third one for taking input looks like Game Core has all your input. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Yep. And then you've got two loops in there. Just pull out your loops real quick.
Was it
Just point
dice
them out.
roller? If
Yeah, you have it there as well. Yeah.
but I think I
show
also have it
your
in.
loops.
Where's yes? Right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you have one more loop.
I do.
Yeah. Back on Game Core.
Right here.
Yeah.
I think it's just the one, right? Just this one.
No, you have four loops there. Or for each loop. Sorry, line 38.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a loop. My bad.
Yep. Okay. All right. Cool. What was the hardest part of this assignment for you?
The hardest part. I probably am gonna say understanding these two different constructors because I don't know that I even still understand this one. So
Okay.
these under recognizing that these were the same thing but not was probably I think where I spent the most time with you working on understanding that.
Yeah. So let me drive for just 1 second. So in this
Yeah.
case, the constructor is just a special term for method, right? Method is like a procedure. And in this particular case, Mike has three different constructors, and these are called different overloads of the character constructor. That's probably a C#.NET term. It might be used a little more generically. Actually, yeah, I think it gets used in like C++ and a couple other languages as well. So, yeah, you can have multiple ones, and that just gives you different ways of creating an instance of your class. Okay,
Yeah.
nice job,
Oh,
Mike.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The actual hardest thing is finding time to do all this and watch the recording 3 and 4 times to make sure I understand what exactly I'm supposed to understand.
Well, that's cool. I need to turn on ads on my YouTube channel then so that I can get some money off of this.
Oh my god, dude, you'd make so much money on me.
You and I, Mike, we're in the same boat here.
Dude, I'm sitting here at 3:30 in the morning and I'm watching the damn thing and I'm rewinding like the same like 15 seconds for like 3 or 4 times until it actually
Same.
makes sense for me. You know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah.
I have a
that's the
question.
hardest thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Emmy.
Okay. Since you have three constructor, when you call, how do you know which one gonna run? Or
It's by what you put in here.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It goes in
So
order. By
it
having
does go in order. Yeah, you can't do here. Let me do this. Okay, here we go. So here's where that character got used, right? And so let's say later on we want to introduce a non-player character. It means like a computer controlled character, right? And his name is Bob.
You're gonna name the NPC Bob. All right.
Yeah. And so in this particular case, because the first value is a string, it now knows. You can see this went from 0 references to 1 reference. That this is the instance it's going to call.
I see.
And he did it this way because when he took the input, when he took the input for what the player's name was going to be, he wanted to write it directly into the class. So he needed an empty constructor so that he could set it later. But in this case, we already know Bob's name, so he did it this way. And what I encouraged him to lead this constructor in is because later on he might save the character's data to like the database, right?
Mm.
Or to a file. And this is a lot easier and faster for loading existing data when you already have it. Whereas
Mm.
this one and this one are easier for building on the fly. You don't have to do it this way. You could also do it this way. Oops, sorry. Right. And this gets into
Oh,
something I've kind of mentioned where there's a certain amount of like elegance and artistry, in how you want to approach problems. Both of these end up doing the exact same thing. This just lets you do it in one fewer line of code, which, has its benefits sometimes.
so it's really how much we want to type.
Yeah. 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 And how often you're going to use it, like if you use something, if you only have to do one instance, of it, then maybe you just do it the slightly harder way. But if you're going to have to do it 50 times or 1,000 times, then that can really add up.
I'm gonna write both of those examples down actually.
Yeah. And feel free to take a
Because
screenshot.
I feel like I was doing both in mind.
Yeah, probably were. Yeah.
That's another thing too that I've been kind of going back into the recordings, and I'm taking notes of when you say this is an array, this is a this, and then I'll take like a note, like I'm writing down what that is, like how to do it, right? How to make it. So
Yeah.
that's another thing I'm trying to.
One thing that's probably important to note, Mike, is you have character stats stored in two spots. Notice how this, where we roll the stats, it's putting them into a dictionary, right? Versus these hard-coded values. So whatever's there, and there's nothing that reconciles them. You see? So when you go and print this right here, do you use that? What do you use here to print it all out? Oh, not that. Game core. Okay, so here is where we print everything out. Let me get rid of Bob because I messed it up. Let me just show you the difference. Okay, and I could repeat this for the other ones, but I'm just going to do one for right now. So see, your random dice gave Berg a strength of 5, but because you have stats stored in two different spots, there's a different strength value that's 10. So you'll want to reconcile that at some point in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, yeah.
That could be as simple as something as like over here where you're rolling it up, instead of putting it in there, right? You could say something like, if stat equals strength, then player character dot strength equals stat value, and go on down the line.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I might. I'm playing with the idea of.
Which way you want to do it? Yeah.
Yeah, like I think I'm gonna change character to NPC, and then probably the actual stats for the player character into player character one. So.
Yeah. The other
But
way to
anyway.
do it, I'm just going to show you one other option, just so that you can kind of see, because I end up on my games storing my stats in here because I'm trying to make a generic game engine. And if I'm doing White Wolf, it's a different set of stats than if I'm doing Cyberpunk, which is different than if I'm doing D&D,
Right.
But what I'll do is I'll make myself a shortcut. Pardon me, we'll do, and I'll do it like this. Int length. So what this is and actually you can do set. So this is kind of like the best of both worlds. Like this kind of takes the concept of a generic game engine, right? Like this is better for a generic game engine, right? Uh, and creates a version that's really D&D friendly and quick to type. Because you could imagine, like, having to type this every time you wanted to run the strength score versus typing this. This is a lot more work, and so just showing you some alternate things, but we'll probably pause it there and take a look at Eames code.
John, could you just write what that second line was for the NPC? What was it? Character.name equals and then quotes Bob.
Yep.
Is that what it was?
So over here.
So the first one was variable and NCP. Oh, NCP Bob. Okay.
Well, it's just whatever. It's whatever I want to call it.
Okay.
I can call it Steve.
Okay.
I can just call it Bob. Sorry. Right. I can call it Steve. Whatever you put over here is just for you. You can call it whatever you want.
Okay. Okay.
So this is what it's named in the program. This is what's going to appear on the screen.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mike, is it okay if I just leave this and you can clean it out later?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look at Eames stuff.
Sorry, that was probably very loud.
That's okay. All right. Visual Studio. Oh. I'm just going to pin this right here if that's okay. Do you mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just pin.
And then are we doing concert?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you want to... Oh, look at you already tying into Git. Do you want me to just go ahead and run it?
Yes, sure. I code it in my local.
That's great.
I have a problem with command and control.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. This is a concert I've got going on, I think, next week. The event date is 2026-02-05, and it is at, I think doors open at 6. Well, you probably want 18. 0, 0.
Yeah, I think it's not gonna pass.
Oh, okay.
You'd have to put HTTPS. I mean,
Oh, okay.
HTTPS://
but
World Wide Web.
but these part I just copy from whatever. So I don't know. Do you use it? I don't know what function do
Yeah.
you use it in real world. It's just.
No, that's all right. This is cool. Hey, look at that. Then it printed it back to me. Name, time. Yes. The next one is Gospel Choir Jam. This part is going to drive me nuts. Let's see. 2:02:01, and I think it's 10 a.m. Okay. Ticket link URL. Uh, nice. Okay. Well done. Let's. Do you want to walk us through your code, or do you want me to walk everyone through it?
Yeah, I can walk through the code. So
Okay.
on the program file, I
Hmm.
use the event manager to do all the logic. Yes, so you can go to event manager. And on event manager, I just have, I would say, I have a list of events. But actually, event file, events have a venue and artist.
They have a what? Oh, a
It
venue
has
and artist.
venue, it has artist, and
Nice.
then
Yeah.
itself it have name, ticket link, date, time.
This is going to really help you when we get into databases. So
Yes.
yeah. And
So
So
this is called a flower box, guys. This is kind of a nice way to help make command line more manageable. Sorry, go ahead, Yim.
oh no. Also on this event, I only have this function to just print it out. Nothing
Yeah,
special.
but it's a good start, you know.
Yeah. And then
Uh,
so you can, yeah, for the
we
venue, you can go to the venue. Venue and artist, it's just this, nothing else.
yeah,
Okay.
that's right. You're prepping. Yeah.
Yes. So you
Okay.
can go back to event manager.
Okay.
Now, it just please put an event name. If you don't put anything, then it's gonna keep asking you.
Nice. I didn't test that out. Okay. Oh, yep.
Then,
So this is a reverse while loop, guys. I didn't show you this, but there's nothing wrong with it. Okay. Yeah.
but then for event date time, it's kind of check the format, how you typing it, how you type event date time in.
Let's go take a look at these.
Yes.
is she starting with
Oh,
mouth?
so this is pretty powerful. So basically, the whole interaction of getting just one field, she put into its own method, you know, and then what she's saying is once she's trying to get this date, and she did a nice job of telling them what format to put it in, right? Uh, and then if they don't put anything at all, she rewrites the question. Uh, if they do put something in, then she tries to turn it into a real date. And if it works, this is kind of a little trick here. Um, but if it works, then it'll return that value. Okay. Uh, Otherwise, it's like, hey man, do what I said, right? And that makes her calling program a lot simpler. Sorry, uh, up here, right, where all that logic isn't in one long thing. So this is a nice separation of responsibilities. Good work there.
Mm-hmm. And ticket link is the same. If you
Yep.
don't type correct URL, then just keep doing it.
Yeah. And so she wrote this helper function to check that it's valid. Um, so what she's saying is, so this is another library. What is it? Universal Record. I forget what the I is for, but that's what URI stands for. And it's trying to see. She's using that library to see if what they inputted is a valid URL, and if it's not, then it returns false, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then she tells it to try again. So the only thing I would say is I might put in here like a little, IE,
Mm, yes.
you know, something like that would be nice. You might have to escape these slashes. C# kind of gets cranky about slashes sometimes. But yeah, really nice separation of responsibilities there. Good thinking. Yep. And she's got the venue name. So the venue name, she says, hey, whatever you put is fine, right? So that just goes straight in there.
Just
And she
you don't
creates
have to.
an so she creates the artist to hold it, right? And then all of this here is in this loop that runs until they say, no, I've got all of them, right? One thing that's kind of nice is you can collapse these. So after she's collected all the events that the user wants to enter, then she goes through and prints each one. And she put this in a nice little print statement, kind of like what Mike did, so that it's housed within the class. And that one of the things that makes this really cool, guys, is let's say we added something else like ticket price. Right? If your print logic is over here in Event Manager, you might forget to go in and do something like this.
Yeah. Yes.
But putting it all inside the same class is good single responsibility principle, and it also makes it more maintainable, right? And maintaining code is a big part of not having a nightmare of a software engineering time. I probably could explain that a little better. The more maintainable your code is, then the easier it's going to be to grow your application versus sitting there and fighting your code all day long. Does that make more sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Okay. Nice. Yim, so just same as Mike, if you want to point out your two classes that store data, you actually have three here. But if you want to just point them out to everybody, or you, yeah,
Yes.
three.
They have event, venue, and artist.
Exactly. And then your third class for taking input data.
It's an event manager.
Correct. Well done. And then you got your loop right here. You would have used a couple of loops, so well done. And your if statements, you got a couple right there. Yeah. So well done, you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. What was the easiest part of this, or the hardest part, or both?
I would say the hardest part is I try to learn C# way.
It's a little bit different than what you're used to, right? Your
Yeah.
primary language, PHP.
Yes.
Yeah. So similar
Yes.
controls and loops, but different way of thinking. It's that opinion that we keep talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay. And yeah, any questions for you?
Yeah, I would have thought the hardest part of this would have been Sebastian, but that's just me.
No, Sebastian, very nice to me this past weekend. He promised to Alex he's gonna go to sleep by himself, and he did it
Wow, awesome.
after almost 7 years.
Hey, what he's getting into that reasoning phase, So, Courtney, are we working on day 2? Is that the one?
Yes, and I've tried to rename these things, and it's
Don't try and rename them.
So
It is. Yeah. Pro tip: don't rename your project.
yeah.
You can do it, but there's a lot of digging and typing. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Courtney, go ahead and walk the class through your homework here.
Where to start? It's mimicking an actual game that I play, which is called Destiny. So the program class words here. The program class pulls all the information and prompts it, but I needed classes for literally everything. Because it's gotten very complicated with how the start program was, which is why there's a ton of classes. But yeah, I don't even know how to like explain it.
Let's
They
run
just-
it first. I probably should have started with that. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Do you
Debug
want to start with?
all of them are false right now, and there's a loop somewhere that's doing things I didn't want it to do, and I didn't get to fix it yet, but it will still run.
Okay, let's take a look. Okay.
Oh wow, this is Destiny 1.
Oh yeah, I had to.
Should I continue or?
You can continue. The next input, if you put something different, you'll get your funny
I get
little
stuck.
quip there.
Okay.
No, you'll get your quip that you put in there.
Oh, okay.
That's great.
Okay. So that's it so far. So, Courtney, why don't you explain for starters the difference between Neverending Story and Guardian as for classes, like what their single responsibility is?
So the Neverending Story is more or less just flavor text and starting the game itself as a player. And then Guardian actually holds the Guardian stats and, like what they are. John chose a class and a subclass, and that builds your Guardian. So that information is in the Guardian class itself. And yeah, the Neverending Story just has all of the flavor text, all of the right lines. So it did need to be different, which is something I learned last night and struggled with a bit.
Yeah, let me jump in and show the class some things that I haven't explained. So Courtney had a lot of lines of code in here, right? This is 130 lines of code, and she's in a way just getting started, right? So you can use this hashtag region, all lowercase, and then give it a name, and n region. And what this does is it puts an expansion contraction around that. And so this structure of fields, constructor, properties, this is really handy just for like making boxes in your head as to where things exist. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I'm already liking it.
Yeah.
I wish I knew that like way earlier.
And then I was watching her struggle like with this concept. She has this concept of this super, and the super can have a lot of different names, primarily based on your class and subclass. So I said, well, for the homework assignment, just pick one super for each pair and then build out this long logical structure. But if somebody picks arc and then switches to void, you've got to recalculate this stuff. So I introduced to her this concept of event-driven programming. And so what we did is we made private versions for class and private fields for class and subclass. A general C# naming convention is to put an underscore in front of the names for these versions, and then for their properties to do it without the underscore. And that what that says, these basically become like a getter method and a setter method, right? And the reason we're doing that is because every time class changes, I want to go through and potentially rechange the super. Okay. So the pattern that I like to teach my engineers is called on, meaning on this event, right? That's why I call it event methods in this region. And then set methods, go set some particular value. And then there's a third one that usually goes along called calc. So let's say that there's like a big formula. Then I didn't show her this because it really gets into when we get into test-driven development. But hold on one second, guys. Oh, okay, hang on a second. I got a problem with my kid. I'm just going to go on mute and take care of something, and then I'll continue. Where's mute?
So, Courtney, what are you ultimately doing with or trying to do with this? Are you just trying to do it in like a text format, like play the adventure?
I was just trying to build. I was just trying. When you load up the game, literally, you
Yeah.
know, like you end up choosing your. Well, you have to choose your class first, but you know, you wake up in the EDZ, you get sent to the tower, and then you know, you automatically start with Void and D1, and then you learn the others. But I was really trying to get all of them in there, and I can't move his screen, but I have in 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 Guardian Super, if he scrolls down later, I have every single super per subclass per class written, and that's what I was trying to loop, and it I got way too overwhelmed, so I made them all variables, and then I just chose one super per subclass for the class. So like Hunter only has Void, Shadow Shot. It doesn't have Deadfall.
Right.
You know. So
Because you start
yeah,
with Void. Yeah.
like it. Yeah, I was writing myself into oblivion trying to get them all in there. But I was just trying to do basically the first mission when you wake up, and set your Guardian up properly before it moves anywhere else. And I struggled too, like trying to figure out what I wanted to do, because there is differences between D1 and D2.
Oh yeah.
So I had to really figure out which one I wanted to go with. So I guess I wrote like a mesh between the two, especially like with the character stats. The character stats are currently Armor 2.0 and Destiny 2, because they've changed them again, so it's completely different.
All right. I couldn't tell you how long it's been since I played D2.
I have been playing Destiny since day one. Destiny 1. I have never stopped. So
I remember when Peter Dinklage was the ghost voice. I was there, but I just your friends, my friends that play, we kind of stopped playing. One of the girls that was kind of like she was like literally like walking us through everything and kind of helping us through, like, trying to get us to the point where we were doing raids.
Yeah.
And some of our friends were beginners, so we were running them around and leveling them up and getting, exotics and whatnots for their classes. And we're just at the point where we were about to do raids, and then she had a stroke, and we've never really touched it again.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well,
That's unfortunate.
It's weird because after her stroke, she just didn't want to come back to it. Or I think because, it changed her personality a little bit. Like, not dramatically, but somewhat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. John, you back?
I'm back. Go ahead and finish your thought.
But yeah, but this is pretty, this is pretty neat. You're taking me back to day one of the first 10-year game that did not last 10 years.
Yes, exactly. 14 years later.
Hey, Emmy, this might be something that really interests you, okay? Even in like your regular work. This is a really powerful pattern for reducing bugs and that kind of thing. So oh, there goes that thing again.
Come here. Come here.
Okay, so this is what I call the onset calc pattern, okay? And this is the third part of it, which is this method that starts with calc. So you have on, meaning whenever this happens, do this. This says set the field, and this says calculate what the field's value should be, okay? And so if I came in here and changed all these to class, this will compile. And the reason I want to do this, and Emmy, this goes, like I said, this will make a lot of sense to you, is because now this calculation is easily testable by a unit test. Right? I can write every single permutation. She's got a whole bunch of them here. I can write tests that make sure that it's returning the correct value, and that's really important, especially when you've got like a big complicated structure like this, oh, come
I
on.
feel like that my MO is complicated.
Yeah, I mean, complicated makes for entertaining games,
It does. I guess.
Yeah. And the other thing I do here is I almost always, regardless of what I'm calculating, the answer I always call result. It just makes for, when you're reading through somebody else's code, you intuitively know that whatever, it doesn't matter what it's calculating, the result is what's going to get returned. And I try and give it a single endpoint. Obviously, I could do a return all along the chain, but then I create multiple opportunities for things to go wrong, whereas if I just generally have a habit of giving each method a single endpoint, my maintainability goes up and my accuracy goes up, and it's just a better experience in general. So then I come down here. Sorry, I think it's right here. Oh. Now, the other thing that we did is, so this is the onset calc pattern, right? You create a property, and every time the property changes, you fire off a method. And we keep the method naming convention really the same. Makes it really easy for anybody to follow along, Then, because multiple things might trigger the setting of the value, we put the setting of the value into its own method. And since we have some complicated logic here, we're going to build a separate static method. That's what really makes this easy to test, guys, for calculating what the value should be. So that's the onset calc pattern. And then one other thing in here is, so she's got this validation. If validation gets complicated, I do recommend moving it into its own method. So even though it's not part of my nice the onset calc, I might have another method here. Validate. What I'm trying to validate is whether or not I've got the right inputs, right? And the reason I do this is because, again, it lets me write unit tests against it really easily. So again, Emmy, that's something that might help you out, is then, without even having to turn the program on or looking at console statements and stuff like that, right? You can you can have testable code and scale it up pretty quickly with more complications, more complicated logic. And if you have to refactor it, all those unit tests are a godsend, right? Because you can make sure that what passed before your refactor and after your refactor really works. Okay, so this is a really great pattern to separate your thinking, single responsibility principle, right? The properties are there to fire off the events and store data. The set is how we write data. Calc is how we determine what data we're going to write. And validate is how we make sure that our data we're feeding in is correct. Now, one last thing is we're checking all these different combinations. And what if somebody put in Warlock and Bob, right? Well, we don't want to have to test for everything, so we create this exception that that says, hey, I don't know what those are, right? So every single thing that gets put into the method gets handled somehow. Yeah, and then we did rename this. So, okay. So yeah, really nice job, guys. One of the reasons that I talked Courtney into building this never-ending story is she has so much content that this gives her one place to put all the content. We kind of talked about having all the story stuff get managed by this never-ending story class, and all the player data storage to be in the Guardian class. And then because she had so much story, you guys saw all that text that was slowly pinging the screen, right? Let me just show you a couple more things that I talked her into. So this one, its job is to help the character select a Guardian class, right? It's not the actual Guardian itself. It's just the story for doing it, right? And so this is where she got to put in all her story, right? And one thing you'll notice is if we're not in debug mode, then sleep for 2 seconds. And let me just point this out because this was something that was really important to her. Oh, I messed something up. What did I mess up?
Oh, don't save that stuff. If I gotta write this again, I'm gonna lose my mind.
I gotcha. This does happen. Okay. All right. We'll just restart it. Okay. So see how the text is pausing, right? Now, let me interrupt here and then come back over to program where she has this debug mode, and let's put it to true. So if you remember what these look like, if we're not in debug mode, then sleep. But if we are in debug mode, it's never going to sleep. And this gets into the same experience that you guys had for your program. See, it just pops it all out real quick. And that makes her cycle time faster, right? There's 10 lines here. That's 20 seconds of delay in getting to her first question. And that really messes up your testing. That builds up real fast, right? It also lets her make, I don't think she used it here, but that debug mode also lets her do custom logging. So if at some point she wanted to print out some logs that were really only relevant to the debug process, excuse me, she could trigger them with that flag. And so most of her classes up in the constructor, she's passing in whether or not we're in debug. You can see here's another one right here, right? And so on and so forth. And that means in one spot, she triggers debug for the whole application.
Oh, I only needed to do that in program.
Yep.
If I wanted to shut all of them off, I only need to do it in program.
That's why you pass them in here, and here.
Oh my god! I changed them all to false last night. I was like, this is gonna take me forever.
Yeah. No need. You just do it in one spot because that's what you're by passing it in, and then in this constructor, it's okay. Bad example. This one's not getting saved, but in your other ones it is. So like here, Guardian, it saves it. See that?
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Cool. So nice job, guys. Any questions on the assignment and stuff? I know I promised a shorter class, but definitely take some time to answer questions if there are any. Okay. Then take a break. Let your brains rest. We're going to go a little bit longer before we talk about committing code to Git, mainly because we're switching languages. But so we'll move that lesson around a little bit. But basically committing code to Git, I'll just kind of give you a quick demo. I made my own private GitHub server because it helps me with my deployment pipelines, which are all in the servers back there. But GitHub is a website, and you can make an account, and it lets people share code and all of the same things in my private one, but it's cloud-based, whereas this is stored locally, which is important to me. So I have all these different projects. I have a bunch that I haven't loaded in yet, and I was just working on TaskWeaver. So let's take a look at that. So one of the reasons why you can see all my code is in here, just like it would be in Visual Studio. Okay, it uploads it all because it's all just text, right? I keep saying that over and over. But what it does is it maintains a version history for me. I don't usually use it through this interface, so pardon me while no. Commits. So I run a little command on my desktop, and then it pushes the changes, and it gives the changes a little bit ID, but let me kind of show you. So in this particular commit, I changed a package version. This was a really boring commit. Let's find a better one. Let's see. Oh, add logging. This might have something. Okay, great. Yeah, so in this particular commit, I added these print statements. And so it shows me what I changed. So like, remember when we talk about like leaving placeholders? If placeholders hang out for too long, maybe you just want to delete them, but they'll still be here in your version history. You could hunt them down if you really needed to. So it's nice. You can kind of imagine where versioning your code would be really handy. Like you make a change and you want to go backwards, Git will let you go backwards. Does that make sense?
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's cloud-based, so if your computer blows up, you still have your code. You just download it from the cloud again, right? So yeah, that's a cool thing. We will be getting into it pretty soon, but probably not next lesson. Yeah, I think next
Should we
lesson we're
create
going to
accounts on this GitHub?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, if you want to watch a YouTube video on it, go ahead. We will be getting into it eventually, but it's a great way for storing and versioning your work. So if you're struggling with that, watch a video on Git 101 and go ahead and commit your code to it. Okay. Otherwise, we'll get to it in a little bit.
I just didn't want to sit here being the only one that doesn't have it, and then I have to create a whole thing while you guys are doing the lesson. So I'm doing two things at once. That's all.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Right here, GitHub.com.
Yep.
And this is used by like 3/4 of the programmers on the planet. The other ones use Bitbucket, and so there's tons and tons, I'm sure, of videos on how to get started with it. Yeah. So that's it. Brain break. enjoy the rest of your day. And I believe tomorrow we are talking about SQL. Yeah, we're switching programming languages tomorrow to SQL, which means I need to figure out that make sure you guys have the right credentials and stuff in your VMs. So since you're supposed to take today off, I'm going to take over your VMs and test them out and make sure you have credentials for accessing the database server. Um, and then we'll get into that. Oh. Any other? Yeah, yeah. Ian, what's your SQL experience at all, or no?
Yes, but I use like Laravel framework.
Okay.
So it also
It
has
does
its
some heavy
own
lifting.
language. It has its own language to talk to MySQL.
Okay. We're gonna
So
do it from scratch only because I feel like people need to know what's happening under
yes.
the hood. You know?
Yep.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is gonna
I
be
also don't. I very rarely do SQL from scratch, guys, because I also have some favorite tools that make that go faster. Okay.
Yeah.
And ultimately taking you into where I want to go with XAF, we're gonna use something, but like I said, it's really good to know what's happening under the hood. If you just accept everything as magic, then you run into certain problems, and it can be really confusing as to why it's doing that. You know? Yeah. Okay. Nice job, guys. I will let you go, and see you tomorrow.
Fabulous.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Aloha.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.